Hello everyone, I thought it would be the easiest if I collect the top 8 things which stand out for me as a European in Oman so far and present them to you in this video. First things first, I would like to give you and myself a really brief overview of Oman's history. There's evidence for human presence from these territories dating back to 100,000 years, and evidence say that one of the earliest cities were founded here around 10,000 years ago. If we fast forward to the 7th century, Oman entered the Islamic faith and several different dynasties and imamates ruled until the 16th century. Because of the strategic importance connected to Oman, the Portuguese and later the Ottoman Empire tried to control the region. However, they couldn't gain full control and were driven out from the country by Omanite tribes. In 1749, the current Al Said dynasty came to power in Oman, leading the empire to become a really strong regional trading power, expanding the borders along the coastline of Africa. No wonder that Great Britain got interested in this business and they signed a Treaty of Friendship in 1798. The British influence lasted till 1951 when Oman received independence, becoming the oldest independent state in the Arab world. Sultan Qaboos ascended to the throne in 1970. Since this time, Oman has emerged as a prosperous and modern nation. Unfortunately, Sultan Qaboos died just before I came in January 2020. Although, from what I've heard, he was a fine man who did a lot of good for the country. Rest in peace. Now we all understand the influence of the British culture on Oman, and it shows as soon as you enter the country, and in my opinion it is a really positive thing. Literally everyone speaks a certain level of English, everything is written in English also. You have the same power outlets, you have similar standards, but they are driving on the right side of the road. You can see the same brands, the same restaurants which are present in the UK currently. Very nice. You know how I had the preconceptions from the Western media about how Arabic countries are closed and how they treat their women. It is different for each country, or maybe even for each city within a country, but as far as my experience goes so far, I'm really surprised. Everyone I've met is really friendly, open-minded and forward-thinking. Just give you some examples. Having worked in the IT field, I've never been surrounded by girls. To my surprise, at least 15-20% of my colleagues are women, which is the highest ratio so far. Women drive cars, have their jobs, have their lives. Of course, they are still wearing the traditional clothes and not making physical contact with people from the opposite sex. Imagine that. Oh, and if we are at this topic, I was hugely surprised when we walked back to our hotel the first time during the night, and we saw girls desperately waiting for the bus or being in the urgent need of a lift, if you know what I mean. I made my not too extensive research and found that prostitution actually exists here. I mean, right here. Mainly Asian girls are in the business, but of course it is illegal, although the business segment is here. And when I say here, I mean really here. It turns out that we are living in the red light district of Muscat. As soon as I entered the country, I realized that something is going on here with the toilets. At least the toilet itself is not just a hole in the ground, which is great, but why do we need these little shower thingy for? If I were a small child, my first assumption would be luckily, I'm not that child anymore. In reality, they say that it is good alternative for toilet papers because it's more hygienic. I guess it's kind of more environmental friendly because water is somewhat renewable source, so I can take that. I let you be the judge, but let's consider a situation in Europe. If I enter the public toilet and I see the surroundings in a similar state, I know what the deal is and what to expect. I guess I don't really need to give you more details. However, if I'm facing the following upon entry, something is just not right there. Anyhow, the last highlight is the following sign here. They ask you not to wash your feet in the toilet. I leave this one for your imagination. There are countries which were formed by oil, and it has an effect on everyday life. There is a good example with this part of Oman. Coming from Europe and having walked the El Camino, I prefer walking as it is the easiest way to get around in every city. Muscat is not an average city. It is really a pain in the butt to walk here. I didn't want to believe when I was told that it's not advised, but I have to accept it now. The whole design of the city is cars first. If you need to cross a road, you either need to find a bridge, which can be rare to find, or you can risk your life and cross the road anyway. Pavements are loosely implemented and they can suddenly end, leaving the pedestrian without many options. Zebra crossing is very hard to find. I spent my first, second and third day without seeing any. Public transportation is basically a rumor or a myth. The schedule is not very clear and the bus stop is usually further to walk than all the walking combined. So walking is tricky here, but more about it later. Just as a reminder, we are currently in the desert, having almost zero water sources naturally. But they have plenty of salty water here, called the sea. So the easiest way to get drinking water is to get the salt out from the sea, which leaves you the water itself and probably some other stuff what you need to filter out. Fun fact, especially with hot water, you can feel the smell of the sea while showering. But the water doesn't taste salty at all. Weird sensation, I tell you that. But what I want to highlight is the fact that I'm not sure if the tap water is drinkable. They say it is, but almost everyone gave me the advice to stick to the bottled water. I don't really want to gamble, so I'm doing it, but it generates a lot of plastic waste, as you can see. Recycling here and being environmental friendly is not really a trend yet. But I still wanted to do my best, so I found the easiest water source to be in the gym. I just fill up my plastic bottle every time it gets empty. Not the best solution, I admit, but well, better than nothing, I guess. Maybe it is also some leftover from British influence, but manpower is king for repetitive and not business critical tasks. So now that I said it nicely, it somewhat feels like they like to have a sort of a servant here. Just a few examples. There is a tea boy in the office, one designated for every floor, who brings you water, of course 5 deciliter plastic bottles like this, makes you coffee, brings you snacks. You are kinda not allowed to do it on your own. Cars can get really dirty really easily here. Imagine all the dust. So in parking lots you can hire guys who will wash your car while you are in the office or shopping or whatever. If they finish, they will raise one of the windscreen wipers to show the car has been cleaned. I haven't seen it for a while, but in the supermarkets you have the measuring boys, whose only task is to measure your goods and close the plastic bags. After paying, you have the packaging boys, who are packaging your goods into plastic bags. There was the European guy who asked how much I need to pay for the plastic bag. They thought that I'm coming from a different planet with this paying for the plastic concept of mine. It was really funny. Just another fun fact, you would think that the first working day of the week is Monday, but no, you are wrong, it is Sunday. And the last working day is obviously Thursday. I haven't checked the real reasoning behind this, but I guess it should be something connected to religion. And last but not least, here is the situation with the open and freely accessible internet. I very well know that we are being monitored no matter where we are, but I haven't really experienced this being actively filtered by the government thing yet. How should you imagine it? At the first glance, everything looks just normal. You are able to browse your normal sites, reach your regular services. However, when you try to call someone, let's say on WhatsApp, it can't connect, call. Same with Messenger, Skype, FaceTime, you name it. Easiest is to use a VPN solution in this case, because that is actually not illegal here. However, they try to block most popular VPN solutions. There is always a way. The best is if you build your own VPN gateway. If you would like to have some details on my own setup, just leave a like or comment, and when I have time, I will do a video on that. Okay, here you have it guys, my top 8 things which were rather interesting for me after my first impressions in Oman. I hope this video is interesting for you. If it is the case, please encourage my efforts with a like or force someone to subscribe, as my goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers is slowly but getting closer. Anyhow, as always, it was a pleasure to see you, and see you in the next video. Take care and bye.